Today, over 40 million Americans alone have been laid off due to the pandemic, leaving us questioning ourselves, are we really essential in our work? You who are listening to this may be in a boat where you're looking at your options and second guessing your value, skill sets, or maybe your goals. Hell, I think we all have been there during this time. But what if you're forgetting the most important thing that had you be effective strategically in the military in the first place? Also, how do we put all this into perspective, weigh out our options tactically, and adapt and overcome so we can win this new war called COVID-19? Well, ambitious vet, stay tuned as you're going to get the golden grenades needed to refuel your mental toughness. Remind yourself of the battlegrounds that you've already overcome that were probably a little bit more difficult than this virus. Stay tuned.
Through hard times, situations, it's this, a lot of this is temporary, and, I know Marines like to say, pain is just weakness leaving the body, right? So,
Hurrah.
It's like everything is just temporary, right? Things are temporary.
Today's show is going to be brought to you by Combat Flip-Flops. Their gear, their footwear, their apparel is like a victory cigar for your soul. Don't believe me? Go check out combatflipflops.com where they're creating jobs, funding women's education, creating change in some of the toughest places on the planet. While you're there, check out their brand new badass Coyote Flopperators, which is instilled with military-grade tubular nylon and injected with molded arch support, which is wrapped around your foot. Remember, every purchase funds one day of school for an Afghan girl. They're made in Bogota, Colombia, and don't forget about their badass lifetime warranty on each and every one of their items. If you do, ambitious vet, find something that you like on their website. Make sure to enter coupon code AMV Network to get your 25% off on each and every one of their items. Again, check out combatflipflops.com and let's start flopperating. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Podcast, where we believe that if you desire more than you have in any area of life, you have to become more in the process. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine Corps combat veteran, social entrepreneur, family man, personal and professional development leader. On this show, I dive into the trenches with big thinking and conscious veterans who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really live with a sense of purpose, satisfaction, and career fulfillment we all desire most after financial stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. If you haven't already, ambitious vet, grab your pen and paper. It's time to gain the golden grenades needed to break through your fear barriers and living a life of purpose with passion.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, ambitious vet? We're right back inside the trenches today with Terry Wagner. He's CEO and founder of Motivated Military Movers, and also a Navy veteran who is committed to employing 100% veterans in today's marketplace, which is very essential for what's going on in the world. Terry founded and has been leading Motivated Military Movers from its beginning in 2008 to the present, ambitious vet. Moving, obviously, is a challenging business. Terry has not only taken the challenge and exceeded in the highly competitive moving industry, which me and my spouse definitely realized that in moving down here to the Dallas area, but he's taken Motivated Military Movers to heights only a few moving companies have climbed to. Under his leadership, Motivated Military Movers has received numerous awards and recognition, as well as having multiple certifications that only a handful of moving companies have across the United States. Terry's biggest accomplishment under the company's reins is its mission, which comes from Terry's personal experience of transitioning out of the active duty military. The mission is quite simple: 100% hiring military and veterans. The company also helps with the transitioning out of the military by giving immediate employment, the opportunity to earn a new trade out inside the workforce, and leverage the skills and attributes that have helped us as military veterans out inside the civilian world. To Terry, it's simply just all about the mission. Terry, man, excited to have you on the show. Are you there?
I'm here, Chris, and I am super excited to do this podcast with you. And thanks for the awesome introduction. And yeah, that was great. Thanks.
Yeah, brother. I mean, you've done a lot of work. I mean, it's been 13 years. And I got to tell you, Ambitious Vet, when we were doing the pre-interview a few weeks ago, Terry is just one of those guys that when you talk to him, you feel like you've known him for years. Do you think that attributes to like your Hawaiian days, man? Like you guys, it seem like you guys are just very personable and genuine people. Where do you think that comes from, man?
You know what? I think that has to do with it, Chris. I think that's it. In Hawaii, we're all about having fun, hanging at the beach, being with family. We're very family oriented there in Hawaii, and the Hawaiian culture is. And we're very, loving and welcoming people, welcoming culture. Yeah, that's funny because it did carry over into my initial introduction to the military and boot camp for just like I'd say like a day, and then it was just like hey, this is something different. This is the military.
Right.
But I did pick up a couple of nicknames, like Hawaii 5-0, and they called me Maui, and
oh man.
yeah. So, but it's great to be from Hawaii and have that have a little Hawaiian blood actually as well. So pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I love it. It seems like every time I meet someone from Hawaii, they are that genuine, happy-go-lucky, let's all come together and have a good time, kind of like just personality, man. So I definitely appreciate that. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the first topic. I mean, you spent 5 years in the Navy. You got out in 2005 as a corpsman, right?
That's correct.
And then like, there was a 3-year influx from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, before you actually launched Motivated Military Movers. So what I want to ask you, man, is walk us through what those 3 years looked like between going from corpsman to Motivated Military Mover, because those are two different big industries, man. Walk us through that process.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. They are way different things, going from being in the medical field, being a Navy corpsman, to doing moving. Totally opposite ends of the spectrums right there. When I first joined the Navy, I kind of already had it in my mind that I wanted to get out maybe after my first enlistment and do some kind of business or entrepreneurial thing. But also I picked being a corpsman because of the possibility also to transition into something. There's lots of jobs that you can do that in the military, but I wouldn't say there's lots, but there's a handful, excuse me. A lot of them don't transfer over to the civilian world, So I picked that one for that reason, and also to be able to train and work with Marines. That's one of the reasons too. I saw that in the little brochure. So that definitely got me. And then, fast forward to, going through my active duty time, my 5 years, doing a couple deployments, all my units were with Marine Corps units except for one, and then getting out, and that was a shocker, total shocker, because being in the military, it's a complete different lifestyle than from when you were a civilian. And then you get thrust back into being a civilian, and you got to basically reintegrate, relearn, kind of relearn how to talk a little bit, and relearn the language that you once knew before you were in the military.
Yeah.
And then, just being able to find a job and basically start all over again. So for me, it was tough. It was a shocker, like I said, but I had that medical training to fall back on, and I started to pursue that, but I did want to go into the government sector, right? And I'm not sure if I'm sure you do. It takes a while to get to that, get through the paperwork, excuse me.
It's a long process. Yeah.
It's a big process. So that was hard right there too. So I started going to school for a little while, use the GI Bill. But, doing that, I figured, going to school, I didn't want to keep doing that. I really had that kind of entrepreneurial mindset. And then of course, what I learned in the military kind of reinforced that. So yeah, after just waiting for a while and working some odd jobs and doing that kind of thing, um, I finally found something that I liked and that I thought my military training would work well in. And I never had done moving prior. Uh, and it just kind of, maybe chose me, you could say, and I went 100% at it. Worked with a company for a little while, off and on. So I didn't even really like get promoted or like work myself up into the company at all. I was just like a regular grunt, you could say, mover. Um, but I liked it, and I just thought I could do it. I thought I could start my own, and looking at my experience of transitioning out, how difficult it was, trying to find a job, and just kind of being lost. I decided to start my company, name it Motivated Military Movers, and hire 100% military veterans. That's the mission, and that's really how I got from active duty at the end of getting out of active duty, excuse me, to starting MMM. And yeah, and again, it was really tough, and I know the movers that work with my company, they experience the same thing. And when they see my company, when they see an ad or they hear about it, they're like all about it, and I think one of the big things is the camaraderie. That's what I always hear in the interviews when I'm interviewing candidates. I ask them like, what did you learn in the military? What was positive? And they always mention the camaraderie, and that's what draws them into our company is that same kind of thing. It's like, oh, we're going to be working with other military people. We have the same language. We know what we're all about. We work well together. That's like a huge one, right? Military people work extremely well together. I mean, it's just looking back on my active duty time and my reserve time. I'm actually still a reservist right now. It's incredible the training that you get in the military. I mean, I'm like blown away all the time, the training that I've gotten and other military people, and how we work well together, like I just said, and the leadership too. Like, yeah, I don't know about you, Chris, but that's one big thing too. You get in the military's leadership. You get thrown into it, or you learn it really well. You go through different courses. Especially Marines too. I mean, they're like the top. As far as being leaders and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's good that you spotted that. So I want to kind of reverse Jess a little bit, man, because you sound like you just kind of fell into moving, which I can definitely relate to that. And I'm sure a lot of ambitious vets are listening to this kind of fell into roles when they got out, right? Mm-hmm. And I fell into event security, fell into nightclub security downtown San Diego for a couple years while I was trying to figure it out. So it's funny how we can just fall into roles, and sometimes we can fall into like what we're passionate about, right, man? But it sounds like for you, man, whenever you got to a point where you realized like what was missing in that company, right? You realized something that was missing that you could provide to the marketplace that had you be inspired and motivated and had the confidence to kind of go after and do your own thing. So put us in that moment, man. Maybe it was you spotted something missing. Maybe you just wanted to have more autonomy or freedom, man. But what was it, man? That because you were probably already financially stable and you were just like, well, you know what? I've got an idea and I'm going to go do it. What had you really leap and do that, man?
Yeah, again, it was really wanting to, be an entrepreneur and knowing I had those skills, partly because of the military training, right? A lot of military people, veterans become entrepreneurs, even that we don't get really taught that in the military, but we have those attributes that we learn and pick up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I said, I just thought I could do it, and I guess I just didn't want the 9 to 5. I know I had the military training, the toughness, because obviously, being an entrepreneur, business owner, it's tough. And I think that's one thing you can pick up in the military, right? We go through a lot of hard situations, and to any military person out there, just really quick, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, you can do it. You have those military skills. It's just a matter of using them, right?
Yeah.
It's there. And so I think to answer your question specifically, it was really just, I knew what I had, and I didn't really want to do the 9 to 5 thing. And the other big thing was, like I mentioned, the transition of myself, how difficult it was. And so those like 3 things, I know that's 3, but those 3 things combined was like it, and that led me to making that decision, that led me to that pinnacle of, jumping off and starting the moving company.
Right. That makes sense, man, because I can definitely identify with that as far as just being in a few corporate jobs and just being in a few security jobs where you're just like, yeah, this is great. But man, I have some untapped potential, right? I'm outperforming my peers. I may have like this mission, this mission driven mindset that I just want to focus on getting the job done so we can hurry up and wait like we're used to in the military, right? It's like, let's get the job done so we can hurry up and wait and go have a beer somewhere or something. But I love how you're bringing in the soft skills that us military members naturally hold. And I think that a lot of, a lot of corporations, man, don't focus on hiring off soft skills either and training the hard skills. And it sounds like you identified yours very quickly, which is huge. So brother, you talked about mental toughness, right? That was one thing that we like nailed down in the pre-interview, which I loved, man. And you definitely are a walking example of mental toughness. And it's a common trait amongst us active duty military. But for some reason, when we get out of the uniform, it seems like a lot of us, we lose our fucking mind, man, right? We just lose it. We don't have the mental toughness that got us through all those challenging times. Let's call it out. I mean, I lost the mental toughness. I know a lot of guys that I talk to and gals that lose it when they get out because they don't have that bond. They don't have that camaraderie around them. And it even shows in the 43% that are leaving their first post-military jobs, right? So I want to kind of unpackage your mental toughness philosophy, or whatever you want to call it, inside this interview, because man, you are a walking example of it. You hit on it every time I talk to you. How do you define mental toughness? And then also, how are you developing it on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's great. For me, mental toughness is grinding through those tough spots in business, in life. It's just really just just looking, what's going on, and kind of for me, it's like kind of choosing, like, okay, what do I want? If I don't get past this point, this situation, this crisis, whatever it may be, then I'm going to go backwards. I'm not going to reach my goal. And I think that's important right there too, is to have a goal, a big one, a small one, but just have any kind of goal. Cause that's like your why, right? Like that's your why to give you the motivation, the mental toughness. So for me, it's just about, mentally picturing, what are the options? If I don't get through this, I'm going to be going backwards. I'm not going to accomplish my goals. I'm not going to be able to, for my business, keep the mission going, and then I also picture, what it's like to win, if I do get past it, and a couple of things, also is just when you're going through hard times, situations, it's just a lot of it's just temporary, and I know Marines like to say, pain is just weakness leaving the body, right? So, it's like everything is just temporary, right? Things are temporary most of the time, I know we don't always see it like that. So that's what I do. I have good people around me. I think, having a good support system, like the camaraderie, of friends, of brothers and sisters from the military. I have military friends from my reserve time and active duty time that I'm still in touch with. So I have that camaraderie, I have that good support system. So that helps me get through mental that helps me develop my mental toughness. Because they got the same mindset. I put myself around people that have the same mindset. Yeah, there's so many things. But that's my, definition of, mental toughness. And that's what I do to get through it.
Yeah.
And it's a constant thing. It happens all the time, in business, there's things all the time. But since I've developed that mental toughness muscle,
Yeah.
I can easily go through things a lot easier than I used to. It's just kind of like normal. I hate to say it's normal, but it's like, I'm like, I got this. That muscle's built
Yeah.
up so much that it's just like, it's not too much of a big deal, until I maybe come across something that I haven't encountered before. But then
Yep.
again, it's just another opportunity to get mentally, stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And what I hear in that is you're very good at like finding perspective, which is huge, man. I mean, even over here with us too, man, I'm constantly, if I ever hit a roadblock, I try to compare it immediately to a past experience,
Yeah.
right? How do I navigate around this? How do I leverage the same resources and tools as well? So like, I would tee this back to you, man, but during these COVID-19 crisis, it's hurting a lot of businesses, a lot of brands, even a lot of employment. I mean, I think I shared this last week on the show, but in May alone, over 1 million veterans applied for veteran employment benefits, man, which is just scary, right? So like, what's been like a biggest challenge for you since this COVID-19 stuff, and how have you leveraged mental toughness to kind of just, overcome it? Because it's something that none of us could have anticipated, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. We kind of know where it came from, but
Yeah, right.
I won't go there. But, anyways, yeah, luckily, our moving, is an essential thing. People are, still moving, but we did take a small dip. But we've built such a good reputation that we still have that constant flow going all the time. So even though there was a small dip, and it wasn't for very long, and it wasn't too bad where it put me out or even put out any of our employees, any of our movers.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, definitely. But I was just looking for different resources, to make sure that I took care of the employees because of the little dip, just strategizing, we've said it earlier, adapt and overcome. That's exactly what I was doing, adapt and overcoming and using that mental toughness. And I leaned on that to get through the little dip I had. And again, there's other businesses that, probably had it worse than I did. But it still was something, it was a situation that I had to overcome again. But yeah, I did, I did. I just, just adapted and overcome, was resourceful, just looked at the different possibilities of what could go wrong and just take care of each one. What can I do about that specific situation that I might come across for COVID-19?
Yeah, that's awesome. And military terminology, I think that's risk mitigation, right? It's like, what is the risk that could potentially come up? And what are some resources that I can pull from, even if it's a past relationship, someone I've previously worked with or something like that. What are some resources that I can pull upon on? And, from what I know, your company and just your team and the San Diego region alone has some very powerful partnerships. So I'm sure that you guys pulled upon those quite a bit as well, because you guys are very connected in the Southern California region for sure.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah. I definitely look to, I have a business mentor, business advisor, we talked, that's somebody I talked to who's a prior Marine, helo pilot. We've talked during the time, other organizations, to see what they were doing. We all kind of banded together, and I know it's similar, I believe, in your area too, but there's good veteran resources, good organizations, both profit and nonprofit, that again kind of work together like military members, kind of that same effect. So I definitely leaned onto that. And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is having that good network, that good group of people around you, advisors, mentors, friends, family, military friends, it's important to have that. And but yeah, if you don't have that, you got to rely on your mental toughness, and don't forget those things you learned in the military. And real quick too, it's something I bring up in our interviews when I interview people. I'm like, what are the skills that you learned in the military that have helped you since you've been out? Just as like a reminder,
Yeah.
like we're talking about in your podcast, it's like so important to remember those military skills, because it's so easy to get them, right? It really is. And so just that little reminder, that question, and then we get talking. It's pretty cool. We'll get talking in the interview, and then it's like we're like back in the military, almost like talking military stuff.
No, I love it. I love it, man. And it sounds like you're not stopping the camaraderie, right? I think that it's very important to make sure they're not skipping a step, and they have a slow unwinding process out of the military. And it sounds like the company is doing a great job as far as the interview process, to even getting immediate employment, which I know is important for military members that are getting out, man. So that's huge. So Ambitious Vet, we're going to take a quick 10-second break to thank our sponsors. Whenever we come back, we're going to be diving into how Terry Wagner walked away from the BEH, the post 9/11 benefits, to start his business, and how and why he did that in the first place, right when we come back after thanking our sponsors. If you're listening to this Ambitious Vet, you're always looking to become more original and more bold in your everyday life. Well, why not present yourself in that way? Well, if you're not already doing that, I got good news for you. Original Grain Watches, a veteran co-founded company that has a mission to create unique timepieces that seamlessly integrate natural hardwood and stainless steel in each and every one of their watches. They're best known for their handcrafted wood and steel watches that are made out of exotic rosewood in the Eastern and Central African region. So if you're looking to get more original, more bold in your everyday life, and have your watch express your personality as an ambitious vet, go to originalgrain.com now. And if you find anything you like, enter in coupon code AMV Network 10 to get 10% discount on each and every one of their premium watches. Look forward to seeing your Original Grain watch soon. All right, Ambitious Vet, we are inside the trenches with Terry Wagner, CEO and founder of Motivated Military Movers and U.S. Navy veteran. It's been an amazing interview so far. A lot of golden grenades around just how to stay mentally tough and adapting and overcoming during crisis, chaotic situations that we're all unfortunately experiencing during these times. But I'm really excited to dive into this next topic, Terry, man. You were one of the few that got out, tried out the whole college thing, and was just like, you know what? I don't know. And you wind up walking away from all those post 9/11 BEH benefits and all that we all fall in love with as veterans, as we're just trying to navigate the civilian world, right? And that's not easy to do, especially when a lot of us that are getting out, we're focused on just financial stability. So what I want to ask you is walk us through that decision-making process of what had you walk away from that stability. But also, how did you identify the soft and hard skills to build this company now that's been going on for 12 plus years?
Yeah, great question, Chris. Great couple of questions there. As far as the college, so I think I already knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But like you were saying, it's the comfort zone, of the maybe unemployment and the GI benefits, the GI Bill benefits.
Yeah.
And I did it, but I did want to try out the school thing and see if it was my thing. And it turned out not to be, just because I think I was just too much of an entrepreneur. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's this, I knew I could do it. I had the mental toughness, I had the skills, and I just went for it, go big or go home, YOLO.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But I really just went for it. I knew I had the skills, I knew I had the stuff I learned in the military. And, I had actually the old GI Bill, and then I got the new one.
Oh,
And
nice.
I actually was married at the time, and I didn't want to go to school so bad that I actually I signed it over to my ex-wife.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
That's a
I'm like,
huge gift. That's a huge gift. Hey, leave me alone. Here's the
yeah.
GI.
Well, happy ex-wife, happy life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's a new one.
but no, she's great. It worked out for both of us.
Right.
I got to give her something that she wanted, and do something that she wanted to pursue, and I didn't want to do college, so yeah, that's how much I didn't want to do the school thing. But to those who
Right.
do it, it's good. Education is always good, no matter what form you do it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for me, and that was just my decision. I just
Right.
yeah, I didn't want to be comfortable. I knew I had the skills, and I get it. It's really easy for veterans getting out, military people getting out of the military to just do that because it's so easy. But
Mhm.
that could be a trap, right? Because once you keep going, you get too comfortable. That's when you start forgetting the military skills, like we mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you're just, you're like, I think you're more lost, maybe, possibly.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it takes some people to take a minute to figure things out. But I always like when I hire people that they have a plan, like they are working with us active duty on the weekends, and then they'll get out and they'll work with us full time. And so they have already had a plan. Like, I'm going to hit the ground running. It's
Yeah.
like I'm going to keep the gas pedal down, like when I get out, instead
That's
of just
awesome.
like letting it up and going to neutral. I think it's so important, it's just great to talk about this stuff because it's hopefully, if somebody's listening and it's going to help.
Yeah, and for me personally, I love to hear both perspectives. And I know an ambitious vet that's listening to this right now that may be furloughed, right? It has an entrepreneur mind or has been side hustling, trying to build that income up so he can go full time in his number one passion, right? Which we got a lot of listeners like that. They're thinking like, they want to hear the perspective of like, okay, you don't always have to build up all the credentials, the education. Don't go get your bachelor's, your master's, your doctorate degree first. They like to hear the gritty story like yours, man, where they tried it out, wasn't like it. They realized that like they could go out there and outperform their civilian counterparts and just learn through trial and error till they figured it out. But I want to kind of narrow the gap just a little bit. What would you identify as one skill that had you, get motivated military movers going fast and and growing very quickly? What would be one skill from the military that allowed you to do that?
I would say that's a tough one because there's a few, but I would say just being disciplined and along with that discipline, professionalism, because running a business, you need other things, but you need those. Like, you have to be disciplined, you have to be organized, because that's going to affect a lot of things in your business. It's going to affect a lot of people. And I know, in the military, you have to be disciplined as far as like, know your stuff, whatever your job is, whatever your MOS, your rate, whatever it is, you got to know your stuff. You got to be disciplined. You got to be on time. All those little things, those fundamentals, and being disciplined with those. I think that's the one thing that helped me a lot, because starting a business from scratch is not easy.
Mm.
You know, it really isn't.
No.
So, just that discipline, what I learned in the military, to be organized and make sure I'm doing things correctly, things are on point, that I got all my T's crossed, all my I's dotted. I'd say that's the one, and again, the mental toughness thing, we've talked about that. There's a lot of them, but you're giving me one, so I'm going to say discipline.
Yeah, no, I think it's completely relevant, man. And it's gone to show like how your company has grown and lasted so long because of probably your discipline, consistency, and staying focused on the mission readiness that your brand, from what I've heard, is known for, which is great. So let's dive into, Motivated Military Movers. Like, tell us about the company. I mean, obviously it's going on now 12 plus years. I got a lot of friends, virtual VSO executive directors and stuff in San Diego that know all about you guys, but I want the listeners to hear more about what you guys are doing, what your mission, what your vision is for what you guys are doing.
Yeah, great. I'm glad I get to talk about that. I'm always excited to talk about moving and motivated military movers. So, again, our mission is to hire 100% military veterans. That's what we're always going to hire first and the most of. If we find the right person that isn't, definitely they're welcome on the team, and we've done it in the past. But, first is 100% military veterans is our mission. So we're, that's a big part of our company, is to help, veterans find a job quickly, because so many jobs out there take a while to get into. But we have a really smooth process where we're doing everything correctly and that we're supposed to do per California, but we're doing it quickly. We're trying to make moving a trade, like kind of carpentry or being an electrician, because that just adds to the service towards the customer. And then also the person that's the employees, they can look at it as a viable option, like a career. And that's why we do everything, correctly as far as our moving process. And not just like correctly, I hate to use that word, but we're providing an excellent service to our customers. That's our whole mission is, and we can do that with our military skills. That's why it works so well. And that's why people get so excited when we're moving them, because they're like, wow, first I'm getting to hire veterans and military. That's awesome, because they say it. And then our service is really good too. It's, it's an excellent service. So they're like really blown away, because you can get into the door being a veteran, right? Like with things, but you still have to back it up, and if you don't, then you're just kind of making yourself personally look bad, but you're also kind of making, other military veterans, possibly look bad too.
Right.
So there's a little pressure there, but it's nothing that, I couldn't handle, and none of my movers can handle, or any other military or veteran can handle. It's just about being confident, knowing what you have. And so it's just a great experience, a win-win. So with getting all this feedback, from customers over the years, even customers mentioning we should franchise it. That's our long-term goal, is to franchise.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We even had a couple of customers saying they wanted to invest in our company.
Oh, wow.
That's how cool they thought it was. And
right.
I'm like totally over the moon when I hear things like that. That's super exciting for any
huge
entrepreneur, right? Like, hey, you got a customer or somebody else to invest in your company. That's just crazy.
Shows your excellence, man. And I think I shared this story on a pre-interview. I'll just do it on this recording as well. But I told you about our experience when we moved from San Diego to Dallas, right? Where we hired a national line van line. And man, talk about the business. You said competitive. Wow. All the brokerages that get independent contractors, like it's so complicated when you actually dive into it, when you don't want to just buy a U-Haul. And it was just crazy. When we finally chose, man, we got the movers into our small apartment. We only had 72 items that we wanted to move, right? And brother, it took them 6 to 7 hours to move 72 items. Yeah. And like, I had to be the Marine that I am, the corporal that I used to be. Hey, come on, keep them going. Yes, they were dynamic. They helped get our couch out over the railing. That was pretty cool. But man, the efficiency, the time's sake that it takes to move stuff, from what I can tell with Motivated Military Movers, you guys are very efficient, quick, and you guys aren't there just to take smoke breaks and stuff like that. You're in there to kick down the door, get in and get out like we're known to do. Am I right?
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, we don't lollygag. We're definitely not taking smoke breaks. We're not smoking and joking. We're all about, like a little operation. I was almost going to say like a little SEAL team, but we're like precise. It's precision moving. We want to protect people's items. We want to give them that excellent service. We want to protect their items. We want to be fast, because moving is very stressful, as you know, and so many other people know. and the longer it takes, the more stressful it can be. So, we're in there to be fast and safe, and give an excellent service. And it turns out a win-win for everybody when it's like that.
Yeah, it keeps it very simple and precise and all that good stuff that the military is known for. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So where can people go and find out more about Motivated Military Movers?
Yes, you can visit our website. It is being revamped, but you can go to www.motivatedmilitarymovers.com. You can contact us at our phone number, 877-255-2597. Again, that is 877-255-2597. And that's the two main ways to contact us. And yeah, you can hear about us from the word on the street, from friends and family. We're the word's out there. We're, in different Facebook groups. So yeah, hopefully people hear about us and we get to move them. It's an honor for us to move people. We love to keep working, and keep the veterans working. That's what it's all about. So people that hire us, they're actually helping, veterans and military stay employed and learn something that's helpful to them. Mm-hmm. And it's helpful to the customer too, because, they get to feel good about what they're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we interviewed Jerry Flanagan from J-Dog Junk Removal about a month ago, and he was just like, the veteran status is key, right? Yeah. People, when they hear veteran status, they're definitely going to open their doors, but they're also going to expect professionalism. And it's just good to hear that another sector that's planning on creating a systematic business that can plug and play for veterans. I just think it's unbelievable. And I think that moving is a trade that a lot of guys dislike, moving heavy shit, right? Like, come on, man. Us Marines, when I get out, I like moving heavy shit and building my muscles, warming my muscles up for the gym later, right?
Yeah.
So it's an awesome industry. And I love your vision for elevating it as a accredited career path. But more importantly, even having, potential ambitious vets becoming entrepreneurs like yourself, man. Because some of them are just like, history books,
Yeah.
It's kind of boring, right? So ambitious vet, we're going to take our last 10-second break with Terry Wagner. And then right when we get back, we're going to wrap this whole thing up with his 3 golden grenades that's going to keep you unstuck in your life, career, and business. We'll be right back. Thanks to Brute Force Sandbags, we're realizing that just like life, not all weight is created equal, and life is not lived in perfect posture with total balance and stability. There's a lot of uncertainty. We'll knock out that uncertainty with your health and wellness during these times, ambitious vet, by checking out Brute Force Sandbags, where they bring their unstable workloads and help you revitalize. They'll stabilize your muscles while engaging your coordinated strength and balance throughout your whole body. Don't forget to avoid that COVID-19 body as well. Go and join their community and join thousands of people just like you. They're figuring out how to adapt and overcome with their health and wellness while making sure their whole body is getting a good workout. Check out their website by clicking the link in the show notes below. We'll see you there. All right, ambitious vet, we're right back into the trenches with Terry Wagner, CEO and founder of Motivated Military Movers, which has been in business for over 12 years now. And he was one of the crazy ones, as you have heard from the whole interview, where he walked away from financial stability, gave it to his ex-wife so he could leap into entrepreneurship full time and learn along the way, which he obviously has. And there's been golden grenade city throughout this whole interview, man. So thank you for your time so far, but we also have a tradition here, Terry. So the tradition, man, is 3 golden grenades. You can wrap up the entire interview into 3 wisdom bombs you would like to, if you want, drop in here and help an ambitious vet that may be listening to this just stay unstuck. If maybe they're looking for more life satisfaction, career advancement, or maybe if they're furloughed, maybe just be like, hey, what is something I need to be focusing on to potentially start my own chain of business? What would be 3 golden grenades to hit this all off before we go?
Okay. So number 1 golden grenade is have some goals. You definitely need goals. because they're going to keep you moving towards something, and being successful, right? As long as you're moving towards something, your goal, you're successful. So just know that, as long as you're moving towards something, your goal, you're successful. That's success. Okay. Number 2 golden grenade is have a team. Okay. You can't go out at it alone. You need that camaraderie. You need that support system. I tried to do things by myself for a little while at the early stages of my business, but I didn't last long. You've got to have a team. Even that we have those superpowers we learn in the military. The truth is that we're all human, and we're not superheroes. So we need a group, right? And even superheroes have their team, right? So you need that good support system, because that's going to help you through those tough times, right? Of reaching your goals. Number 3 golden grenade is you got to have that self-belief and that mental toughness. Okay, you got to fall back on things, because sometimes you aren't going to have that team around, and it's just going to be you. You got your mind to deal with, right? You got to battle your mind. That battlefield of the mind. So you got, it's real for sure, man. So you got to have that self-confidence and that mental toughness. You got to rely on that. Sometimes you're going to have to dig deep, rely on yourself. I heard you mention it earlier about, figuring out what you've, how you've gone through things before, how you got through it. It's that self-talk, right? You got to have that positive self-talk is huge. That's my three golden grenades right there. I hope they're helpful to a lot of people. Those are definitely the ones that I use all the time to blow up obstacles, and blow up tough sticking points, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
There's a million different ways to say it, right? But you got to have those. That's my 3.
Yeah, that's awesome, Terry. I think we call them landmines in our network here, man. And it sounds like setting goals, being resourceful, finding the right people, and finding ways to constantly build your confidence on a daily basis in the trenches is what's had your life continue to improve. More importantly, have a business that's thrived 12 plus years, man. I want to acknowledge you for coming on the show, acknowledging for what you're doing as far as hiring our active duty military veterans, man. And I'm excited to see this whole thing evolve into a franchise enterprise, man. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you, Chris.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Thanks again to Combat Flip Flops for sponsoring today's show. Ambitious Vet, if you're still out there looking for that victory cigar for your soul, look no further than combatflipflops.com. Don't forget, if you like any of their accessories, apparel, or footwear, to enter in AMV Network coupon code to apply your 25% discount on us.